Hi there, I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. Welcome to our Word of the Day series, where each day we look at a word or sometimes 2 or 3 words to help you pronounce them correctly in American English. These words have all been requested by our viewers, you, and that's wonderful because it helps not only you, but other people who are probably struggling with your same word. And it helps me know which topics to cover in my other videos, in my Friday Free Live class, and as I'm working with you here on YouTube. Today's request was for the word particularly, and I'm also going to talk about the word particular because we have to be able to say one to be able to say the other. And this is another example of a word that when you look it up in the dictionary, it's going to show you one thing. And when you hear Americans speaking it around you, you may hear some differences. So I want to talk about some of the acceptable changes you can make to this word, how you can make it a little bit easier. And I have to say, this is a word that is challenging, I think, even for native speakers to say, which is often the case when we have a lot of R's and L's together in the same word. It's challenging to sequence the motor movements needed for those sounds. So don't be frustrated if you find this hard. I probably also have to practice a little bit to say it easily and fluently without any errors. So let's look at how it's pronounced and one way that Americans make it a little bit easier. The word particular has second syllable stress. And so what that means is that the tick syllable has a clear vowel and is held a little bit longer than the others. You can see that marked with a little line or a little diacritic before the stress syllable in the dictionary symbols. And it just looks like a little apostrophe. In the dictionary, you're going to see it written like this with an in the first syllable. So even though there's an AR, we say that AR as an ER sound, per. And you may see different dictionaries will use different symbols. I like this symbol for the because it's one symbol for the one sound. You'll also see that written as a schwa and an R sound, but we don't really say ra. So I find that to be a little bit confusing. At any rate, if I also will just write this as the letters ER because they say and oftentimes in American English, watching out for letters like AR or 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 UR or IR that all have that one American vowel the vocalic R. So we'll rewrite that as per, and then we want that one to be short and unstressed. Then we have our tick sound. So we'll write that like the word tick. That's where our stress is. That's where we're going to lengthen. Per tick. Then we have in the U in this word says a glide, y, and the U sound. So I'll rewrite that as the word U. It's the same way we pronounce the word U. And then finally we have another AR that says ER, and it starts with an L, so lur. This may be challenging for you, in which case I would start with the and then go to the front for your L, lur. You might have to pull back. So that's one of the things that makes this difficult, particular. And it's also, I think, hard to know where does that L come, where does that R come. So you may want to just go slowly, one syllable at a time, like per, tick, you, lur. Particular. When I was planning and looking into how to explain best how to pronounce this word, I made the realization that I don't really say particular typically. I think that instead of per, when I'm saying this word, I say pa. So I reduce this vowel into just a schwa sound, would look like this, pa. So the rest of it is the same, particular. And I hear many Americans do this as well. I think it's an acceptable pronunciation, and it's easier, and I think that's why we make that change. It's a kind of an exception. Usually I tell people if you see an R in a written word in American English, you say the R. We never leave it out. Unlike British, the British pronunciation would be particular. They would do a schwa for both of those R's that are not at the start of a syllable, particular. We won't do that for this lur, so you have to make sure you have a tight back for your R sound. But I do think it's easier and might sound more American to use particular rather than particular. So that's one way to make it a little easier, is to eliminate that first R sound. And in some of the dictionaries I checked online, they did mark it with a schwa and rather than an sound. When I add the ly to make particularly, it's particularly difficult because of the ending. So I have the lurly ending, and that's just challenging because both the and the e sounds are sometimes challenging for people to make in an unstressed syllable. E is tense and is tight and back, and so we want to either let those go and be too relaxed because we're doing the syllables correctly, or it sounds too heavy, like I don't really want particularly, I don't really want a strong sound there. I need to be fast and light. So to get that, what I'm going to suggest is just practicing those short syllables by themselves, light and fast. So I would start with lee, and then maybe early, then finally lurly. Once I can do lurly quickly and easily, I can build it back onto the word. So then I would try lurly, ularly, ticularly. And so actually using also ularly together, ularly. You can hear when I'm doing it that way, my U becomes kind of a ya, particularly. And that may be another reduction that we do when we add that extra syllable ly. Finally, particularly. So the u, ya difference doesn't make too much of a difference. I just want to be fast and light on them. When I can say particular and particularly by themselves fluently and easily, I want to try using them in some short phrases. I'd like that particular example. I'm particularly proud of now being able to say particularly easily and fluently. I had to take particular care in pronouncing these words myself because they're particularly difficult even for native speakers. Be patient, take your time, use these strategies to help you, and build it up whichever way works best for you. You're not going to necessarily be able to immediately just easily say these words because they have so many challenging sounds, but I hope by understanding what the challenges are there and how to break it down, you'll be able to use them more easily and fluently. So we had a quick question here, which was techniques for making a tight back R. I have a full playlist showing you how to make the American R sound. And there's two different types of back R that Americans will do. One is with the tongue curled, like a little bowl. And if you're looking at the ends of lurly, the lur syllable, you may find that that's easier because I'm going from the L position, and just pulling my tongue back, lur, bracing the outsides of the upper tongue against the teeth. Or I also recommend going from the GR sound, gur, and that's holding my tongue back in the position it is for the G sound and tightening it up with the front of the tongue down. But you can get detailed information on various ways to get that American R and how to bring that into words. Just go to my channel page or to speechmodification.com and look for my American R playlist. You can use the free practice materials on speechmodification.com and just type in R in the search box, and you'll see lots of lessons and videos to help you with that challenging sound. Thanks so much for being a part of our Word of the Day series. If you have a word you'd like to have included in the series, please feel free to leave that in this video, in the comments in this video, or any of my other videos. And I will see you again tomorrow for our next Word of the Day video. And I also hope to see you on Friday for our free live question and answer class, where you can ask questions about anything to help you improve your American English pronunciation and American accent. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound American, you can do it. speechmodification.com. speechmod.com. Bye, guys. Thank you, and see you tomorrow.